How to boost my credit score? This is a popular and very common question that I often get, particularly for people who are looking to get on the poverty ladder in the near future. You're going to need a decent credit score to be able to do that. I noticed that my credit score jumped 66 points from December to January. So within 30 days, 66-point increase. Now, I did a couple of things differently, and I thought when I saw it this morning, it would make a really interesting video to kind of highlight what I basically did. So hopefully you can take some lessons from it as well. I'm also going to be talking about some other contributing factors that also play into whether you have a healthy or a poor credit report. These are all things that you can actually work on. I will be using my phone and showing you my phone through this. I'm going to be talking you through an app called ClearScore. Now, this is not a sponsored video. The sponsors for this channel for the next few months is actually Wealthify. So I'm just going to take you through it because it's one that I use, and I hope that the information is going to be helpful to you. If you do enjoy the video and you know someone who might actually benefit from this as well, then please feel free to share. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure that you subscribe. Let's go. So your credit score is essentially a number out of a number. It's kind of like when you're at school, right? You get your scorecard and you would either get a 10 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. That's essentially what your credit score is. And it's a way of assessing how good you are with money when it comes to credit applications that the banks can quickly see and reference. Now, your credit score is very, very different to your credit report. Your credit score is derived from your credit report. Your score is a snapshot. The report is a bit of a deep dive. It shows your payment arrears. It shows you whether you kept up with payments, so on and so forth. It details what you actually have on your record. And so I will talk a little bit about both in this video, but it's worthwhile noting your credit report and your score are two different things. If you go and apply for a car loan, business loan, mortgage, personal loan, credit card, the banks, the lenders are going to be more concerned about what's in your report than your score. So I always say to people, try and use your score as a very quick snapshot, but look into the detail of what's actually in your report. Now, I'm going to be using my phone. So let me just fire this up very quickly. I'm going to show you my credit report. I'm going to show you what the change has been, what I did over the last 30 days. Well, certainly over December, that has meant that my credit score has actually jumped by 66 points. Now, I'm going to be using ClearScore. As I said, I've been using these guys for a number of years. This is not a sponsored video, and this is my score right here. So I've got score 100. Well, I score 920 out of 1,000, which is pretty good. Now, when you access your credit score, and whether you're using the likes of Equifax or Credit Karma is another app that you could also use. There is a third one as well, which I'll probably remember and mention a bit later on in this video. But regardless of which app you're using or what provider you're essentially using, you're going to get your score in similar formats to this. It will be a score out of a larger number. And the closer you are, obviously, to that number, the better your score is. So for me, I'm 920. Now, it tells me here that my report is stable. There are no changes. It says still doing well on 11 insights. I do want to take you through those 11 insights because they're actually quite informative. And if you're paying attention to the detail, it really does matter. It can inform the kind of things that you pay attention to if you're trying to improve your credit score. So if I just click on this very, very quickly, we're going to get a bit more into the nitty gritty. Now, just to kind of demonstrate how this has actually grown. So this is my latest report, which is January 2022, 920. If I go to December, you'll see that my score was 854. So again, like I said, it's a 66-point increase. So if we just go back to the January 22, all right, and let's have a look at the insights. So it tells me here that I have no arrears, which is great. You don't want arrears. That will always mess you up in terms of your credit. It says here that I keep paying my mortgage, which is great, obviously. I'm going to keep my roof over my head. Then it says I keep my unsecured loans low, so your unsecured loans are basically things like personal loans, car finance, those kind of things. Secured loans are things like mortgages, right? So I have very, very low unsecured loans. Actually, I have no debt whatsoever apart from my mortgage. My car's paid off. I owe no personal loans, no credit cards or anything like that. I'm fortunate in that way, but I've structured my finances to be like that. Now, it says here, no credit card cash withdrawals. Now, I do want to talk about this because this is an important point. If you click learn more in ClearScore, it actually tells you and gives you a bit more of an explanation around what that basically means. So it says, using a credit card to withdraw cash can be a sign to lenders that you're overspending. It may impact your credit score and the chances of lenders accepting you for new credit. Now, that might seem like it shouldn't be a big deal, but actually it is. If you think about what the purpose of a credit card is, it's there to be used for transactions. So if you're taking cash out using your credit card, like it says there, it's kind of a signal that maybe you're not the best at your month-to-month money management, your budgeting, and therefore overspending. That can be a negative imprint on your credit score. Now, obviously, it isn't always avoidable. Sometimes you have no choice but to take money out, especially maybe if you're stranded abroad, that kind of stuff, and you just want to take some money out, right? You've got to pay extra fees, obviously, but sometimes you can't avoid it. But if you can, try to avoid it as much as possible. Let's come out of this and go back into the next one. It said, keep your credit card use low. Now, this is a very important one. So I actually did use my credit card in December. So if you joined me at the beginning of the year, I was in Dubai. We did some really fun stuff out there. And part of me paying for that was using a credit card because I wanted that protection essentially. So what I did is I used the credit card and I paid it off. And that has attributed itself to the 66 point increase that I've seen in my credit score. But let's have a look at this again. If you click learn well, it gives you a nice explanation of what's going on. So it says here, credit use is now based on how much of your credit limit you use over the past 6 months. It was 3 with ClearScore. If you use 70% or more of your credit limit, it will affect your credit score. It was 50. So what they're basically doing here is they're just basically explaining that your credit utilization is really, really important. So in other words, if you've got a credit card with, say, £1,000 on it, right? If you're able to keep your credit utility as low as possible, that's really, really important. Now, it actually says here on a section here, to maintain your score, keep below 70% of your credit limit. So in other words, if you have £1,000 on your credit cards, the maximum you should be looking to spend on that card is about 700 quid. Always try and keep it around about there and lower. That will give you a positive imprint on your score. If you're over, again, it might send a message to the lenders, to the credit reference agencies that you're actually struggling with cash. So again, they'll be cautious because they can see the pattern, especially when they start measuring it over 6 months in opposed to 3. So what they're looking for is they're looking for a longer track record. So really, really important to basically bear in mind there. Like I said, I used my card in December for certain things. So I know that it's actually boosted because I actually paid it off in one go. It says, so I have no debt collector searches. So nobody's looking for me in terms of debt that I owe. I have no defaults or repossessions. And if we click on view more, there are 4 more here that you can also explore as well. We want defaults and repossessions. Stay on the electoral roll. Now, this is very, very important. And I did a coaching call with a client last week, and we're talking about whether or not you should be on an electoral roll with your parents or at your parents' house. Now, if you're the kind of person that you've just moved out and it's likely that you're going to be moving addresses quite a bit, what the credit reference agencies really like is you having a long record of where you've been. So parents' house could be a really, really good idea if you're likely to move around. So you might be at uni, for example. Having your electoral roll or being registered on the electoral roll at your parents' house is good. And the function of that is simply so that when you go and apply for any credit, they have a track record of knowing where you live. They don't want to go and lend money to someone who is hopping around addresses that may just get up and leave all of a sudden. They want to know that you can be located and you have had a track record at an address, almost putting down roots. It just adds a little bit to the credibility in knowing that if they needed to find you, they can find you. I know that sounds really like big brothery, but it's true, and it is a factor that goes into it. Now, no hard searches. That basically means that I'm not applying for anything and somebody's actually making an imprint onto my credit score. Now, the good thing is that if you're applying for things like credit cards, personal loans, in previous years, if they did a search, that's what will be called a hard search. It will leave a record on your credit report. Now they can do soft searches. So they can just do a generic search without leaving an imprint on your credit report. Now, what this basically means is that I've not applied for anything in the last 6 months. Therefore, there are no hard searches. If I'd applied for a credit card and they did a soft search, it still wouldn't show up here. I would still be in good standing in this regard because a soft search does not leave a mark on your credit report. It says here as well, one of the factors is I keep paying on time. I'm going to show you a separate section in ClearScore in a moment, which details your last 6 years worth of payments. And it says here that I have no recent legal action. So I don't have any CCJs or IVAs or anything of that sort. So those are 11 contributing factors to your credit score. And it's great actually that using apps like this actually tell you what's wrong. So for example, if I had something on my report that was dragging it down, they would tell me and say, well, this is what's going on. And that will mean that you know exactly what to do. Now, let's just go back out here and look at payment history. So one of the things that you definitely want to be mindful of is your payment history. So it says here, understand your insights. Now, you can see this going back to 2016. It's got 12 dots and it says if it's a dark, I think it's a dark blue, it's on time. So I haven't had any missed payments or late payments. Missed payments come up as a red. Now, for credit reference agency purposes or for applying for credit purposes, you want to avoid late and missed payments as much as you possibly can. Like, you absolutely don't want them on your credit score. If they're there and they've been there for, maybe 3 or 4 years, you're probably going to be fine, but you definitely don't want anything recent. So making sure that, if you've got a credit card, you're either diarising, reminding yourself when you need to make that payment, or easier, just setting up a direct debit. You have to do that because you don't want any missed payments. They frown really, really, really badly on missed payments because it brings into question your ability to repay debt. And remember, you're going to them to lend you money. So having missed payments is not a good thing at all. But using an app like this can be really, really powerful just in terms of helping you plan ahead in terms of how to improve your credit score. These things have so much intelligence and data that comes through them that there is no excuse for you not to be able to improve your credit score if you pay attention to it over a set period of time and you're purposeful around it as well. Now, one of the other questions that I get is, well, Pete, how can I actually go about building my credit score if I don't already have a credit score already? So you may be a student, may have only just left home, might have been new here in the UK. I also get people ask me that question as well who are just moving to the UK or have just been here for a short period of time. Well, if you use ClearScore, one of the things that they basically do is you've got to fill in your details, obviously, and bearing in mind that your credit score updates every month. We're in February at the moment. My latest report is January, so it's a month in arrears. So once you've signed up to this, what it will do is it will actually recommend credit cards, loans, car finance, credit facilities matching your score. So for example, I've got offers down here. So if I go into offers and I went to credit cards, and let's just say I wanted to have a credit card to boost my credit score because it was non-existent, right? What it will basically do is actually search based on my credit score and actually recommend cards that are likely to accept me. Now, as you can see here, the top one here for me, and this is based on 920, by the way, is a Sainsbury's card. Not that I'm going to apply for one of these, but I just wanted to show you the approval chance. So it says 95% approval chance. That basically means that if I apply for this, I've got a 95% chance that I'm going to get approved. If I go to that MBNA one down here, which is a 0% transfer, this is a 100%. So I'm already pre-approved for that. So you may not necessarily have access to those things immediately, but as you start to use the app and it starts to feed your data through, you will get matches. So it gives you recommendations of how you can actually build your credit score. All right, so there it is. I hope that you found that useful. Those are some of the contributing factors that go into improving your credit score. I know that, if you're looking to buy a house, it can be boring to essentially spend time looking at your credit report every month, but you really, really should. I mean, you only need to assign something like 10 minutes a month. It's not a lot of time. And, when I was advising as a mortgage advisor, you would be very, very surprised at the amount of people that actually want to go and apply for the mortgage, but they've never ever looked at their credit report. And then they go and apply for it, they get declined and they don't know why. Then we go and have a look at the credit report and it's like, there's this on there. And they could have had time to fix it had they looked at it earlier. So I generally say to people, if you're looking to, purchase a house or apply for any kind of credit, really you want to be paying attention to your credit score at least 6 months in advance. 3 months at a push, because there are things that you can do to boost your credit score quite significantly by just being smart and knowing what's actually on your report. But anyway, hope you found that useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. I will have potentially an announcement for a Discord group on Friday. I'm just doing some work in the background to make that happen. It will be free for everyone to join. We can start to build a community in a Discord group as well. But guys, as always, take care. Have a good week. I will see you on Friday.